Hi everyone, it's Terry here from nutsaboutsstamping.com. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to make a really beautiful Mother's Day gift idea. In the last couple of videos, in the last couple of weeks, I've shown you some Mother's Day card ideas. Today, I'm going to show you a gift idea that you can make to go along with your cards. And it's using the Painted Poppies stamp set. So let's get some bits and pieces ready first, and then I'll show you how to put this all together. I'm going to start off with a scrap piece of Whisper White cardstock. And what I want to do is I am going to mount this poppy, this particular poppy here, from the Painted Poppies stamp set, and I'm going to ink it up, stamp it down, and then I'm going to color it with my Stampin' Blends. I want to use my Memento ink because it is not water-based, and that means that I can stamp and I can color with it. So I'm going to stamp 2 of the poppies. And then in a few minutes, I'm going to color them with my Stampin' Blends. And the next thing I want to do is I'm going to take the Happy Mother's Day phrase from the Timeless Tulips stamp set. Here it is here. This stamp set is not retiring, and this stamp set's not retiring. So this is great news. The only thing is they're not going to be bundled in the next catalog. So if you want to save money, now's the time to get the Painted Poppies stamp set and framelets and the Timeless Tulip stamp sets and its matching punch. I'm going to stamp the Happy Mother's Day phrase on this scrap piece, and I'm going to turn it this way. And I'm going to die cut them out. But first, what I'll do is I'll take my Stampin' Blends, and I've got the Poppy Parade color, the dark and the light, and I'm going to color these poppies first, and then I'll die cut them out. Normally, I start with the lighter color, and then I can add some of the darker color for shading, and then I tend to do the darker color where there's sort of a layer or a separation, like so, and then I come back in and I go over it with my lighter color, and then they blend the colors together. That's why they're called Stampin' Blends, is because they blend together. And you just keep going over and over and over until you can't see the difference between the dark and the light. So it blends the colors together. I'll finish coloring these poppies, and then I'll be back and we'll move on to the next step of this project. I finished coloring my poppies, and now what I want to do is I want to take from the Painted Labels dies, which is what is bundled currently with the Painted Poppies stamp set. I'm going to take this little die that goes with this, and I'm going to die cut it out. Also in the same pack, there's this, I guess it's a label framelit. So I'm going to die cut out this first, and then I'm going to go back through and die cut out the second poppy, and then I'll come back and I'll show you our next steps. Here are my 3 pieces, die cut and ready for the next step. So now next I'm going to use a piece of the Designer Series paper that goes with the product suite that includes the Painted Poppies bundle, and I'm going to layer it onto some Granny Apple Green. Granny Apple Green is one of the colors in the Designer Series paper, so it coordinates lovely. I think Granny Apple Green has to be one of my favorite greens of all time with Stampin' Up's colors. All right, now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to figure out some layouts here. Okay, I like that idea. But first, let me just slide that aside. The other thing I did was I took the Flourish Thinlits dies, and before the video began, I die cut out, using Whisper White, 3 of these flowers, whoops, with, oh my goodness, with their stems. So I learned a really cool trick from another demonstrator recently, and here's what you can do. Die cut out what you love using Whisper White, and then, did you know that you can color these with your Stampin' Blends and your Stampin' Write markers? So I thought it would be fun to take my marker and do a bit of coloring, and that way I can get both colors. Let me show you. Let me take this one now, and I'm going to color the flower like so. Now I'm using just a scrap piece of grid paper underneath. So let me finish coloring these. I'll come back and then I'll show you without the grid sheet, the nasty grid sheet underneath, what it looks like. This to me is such a fun tip, and I'm so happy I learned this. I'll be back in a moment. There we go. I have my flowers all colored. I think the most exciting part about this idea is that you can then die cut pretty much anything you want using Whisper White and color them using your Stampin' Blends so that you can match to designer series paper now and in the future. So you could really color coordinate everything. One of the things that I used to do was I used to die cut 2. I would die cut one with Granny Apple Green and then die cut the second one using Poppy Parade, and then I would try and glue them together. And that adds weight if you do a bunch of ideas like that, especially if you're mailing things. So this is super idea. All right, so what am I going to do with all of these pieces? Well, I did tell you in the beginning that it was going to be a gift idea, and I'm going to take one of our mini pizza boxes and make it a gift box idea for Mother's Day. So here's what the little pizza boxes look like. I think the most exciting part about them is that you don't have to use any glue. They just go together with the way that the score lines are. They just slip into each other, and you have your box ready to go without any kind of adhesive requirements. To me, that's a huge bonus. So my recommendation is that you fold them on all of the pre-scored lines. And this is the top of the box. So before I put my box together completely, I'm going to flatten it back out a little bit, and I'm going to finish off my decoration for the top. Now, I could also decorate with the designer series paper on the side of the box, the sides, to pull everything together. So I could put some paper here, 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 and here, but I don't have enough paper. This is pretty much the last piece of the designer series paper, which is great, which means I've used it all up and I'm ready for the next catalog. All right, so then what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in the Mother's Day phrase, and I'm going to put just 2 Stampin' Dimensionals on it because I'm going to tuck some things behind. Get that as straight as I can. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of our mono liquid glue, this Tombow multi-purpose glue, and I'm going to put only glue on the stem of my flower because I want the other pieces to be more 3D. So I'm going to tuck one under here, and then I'm going to take my second one, and again, hopefully you can see in the video what I'm doing, and I'm going to tuck the second one. Oh, I kind of like that it, like so. Now at this point, I think what I'll do is I will put my poppies on. Definitely want a poppy underneath there at the bottom, like so. And I thought maybe, I don't know, maybe I'll just use the one. Let me just figure this out. As you can tell, I'm making this up as I go along. No, I think I'll put a second one up the top. In this case, I think more is more. So I'll do one up here, and then I'll take this third one. I think sometimes we worry too much. And I know that if my mother was getting this, she would love it regardless of how many layers and what it looks like. All right, so let me bring this up a little bit closer to you so that you can see how it's looking. And then the last thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of the Peaceful Poppies sequins. I have several of these left, and I'm going to add some sequins using my two-way glue pen, I keep calling it that, it's not called that, fine tip glue pen. We used to have something called a two-way glue pen, and we don't anymore. So it's the fine tip glue pen, and I'm going to add some sequins, a little bit of sparkle to my box idea. If you would like a list of the supplies and the measurements for this project idea, hop on over to my blog, www.nutsaboutstamping.com. And while you're on my blog, consider subscribing to my customer newsletters. I send 2 newsletters a week now since we're all quarantined inside. I thought that everybody might like to have some additional project ideas to play with. So they're free to subscribe to, and the link is over on my blog. Just trying to get this to close so you can see what it looks like. And also, there's a link to my online store over on my blog. So if you would like to place an order for the projects I used, or the products I used to make this project idea, you can link over to my online store there. And I have lots of other project ideas on my blog. So take the time to cruise through. There we go. Take the time to cruise through and see other project ideas that you might like to try at home too. I'm Terry. I am Nuts About Stamping. I'll be back soon with another idea. Bye for now.